I have no words for how much I despised this book. That's what it is. I don't like it when the women seem like helpless, tiny, frail, and they have like this like perfect personality, and then the guy is like this strong, brooding, masculine guy who like comes to save her. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Amin here. It is officially, actually literally December 31st when I'm filming this video, and I have read 51 books in 2025, which is an insane amount. My goal was 50, so I definitely accomplished my goal. And I thought I would tell you about the best and worst books that I read throughout this year. This video is going to be split into two parts. So this is going to be the worst books that I read. So we're starting out on the bottom of the list. And then on the next part of the video, we will go through all of the best books that I read in 2025 and ones that I would recommend you add to your TBR in 2026. So I made a list. There are 12 really bad books that I read that I would not recommend anyone read. If a book is rated less than 4 stars, and I don't recommend it to anyone, 4 stars to me is 80%, which is like an A. So I would like recommend it to people. Anything less than 4 stars is not great. The first bad book that I read in 2025 was Everything I Know About Love, and this is a memoir. I gave it 3.9 stars. I did not love this book because I felt like I couldn't relate to the author, and I also feel like memoirs should be based on people who have very interesting and unique lives, and I did not feel that way at all about this author. It just felt like she was complaining through a lot of it, and all of her problems were like, you know, like first world problems, and it just didn't feel like, I didn't feel good reading the story. I'm not a huge nonfiction reader in general, but there is a nonfiction book that did make it to my best book. So it's not about the genre itself. It's more about the writer and their story. And I just did not like this one. The next book this might be controversial, that I did not like was All the Colors of the Dark. I gave it 3.9 stars as well. It's a pretty highly rated book. It's about a boy, like a teenage boy that goes missing, and then his best friend is trying to find him. And it spans the years of like when he goes missing when they're children, and then basically what happens afterwards when he's found, because he is found, and basically how that incident has shaped the lives of all the people around him. And it seems interesting, like the plot seems interesting. It sounds like something I would like, but the reason I didn't enjoy it is because I found it to be very dry, and it took me a very long time to finish the book. Usually I can finish a book within a week if I'm actually interested in it, but I'm pretty sure this one took me months to finish. It just wasn't moving at the pace that I found was interesting enough to like keep my attention, and I finished it because I had to, but not because I liked it. So I don't recommend that book. This is an Elsie Silver book, and it's my first Elsie Silver book that I've ever read. I do enjoy romance. This is Flawless. I gave it 3.9 stars. I do love me a romance. I do love me a spicy book, like, you know, hot male characters, but this one just didn't do it for me. I thought like the spice was really cheesy and cliche, and I just didn't like the storyline, which is about a girl who's like a hotshot like business girl from the city. She has to go and take care of his PR scandal on behalf of her father's company, and she has to go basically go live with him on a ranch in a different lifestyle than hers, and obviously they end up together. We obviously know that, and it's a series, so I think there are other books based on characters in that first book. But yeah, it just didn't do it for me. It was a little bit too cheesy. It was a little bit like too graphic, to be honest, and the story just like wasn't progressing. It just wasn't enough substance to the story, in my opinion. There are other good romances, so just keep your eye out for my second part. I'll give you good romances to read there, but that one just didn't do it for me. I do own an Elsie Silver book, which is sitting right there, and I'm scared to read it because I feel like we got off on a bad foot, but if you love her, let me know. The next one is also by an author that I really like. It's called The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. I gave it 3.9 stars. It is a mystery thriller, as all of Lisa Jewell's books are. It's basically talking about like this girl who knows she's adopted and then comes to find out that she's inherited this very large house, and there's a lot of like secrets associated with this house, so she's trying to like figure out, should I sell it, should I keep it, and then she figures out what actually happened in that house and how her parents died. And again, it just like, it was a bit predictable, but it wasn't moving at the pace that her other books have. Like, I wasn't really on the edge of my seat waiting, so I just didn't enjoy it, and I wouldn't recommend that you read it. There are definitely other Lisa Jewell books that I would suggest instead. So now we're on to an even worse category. So the next bad book that I read is The Maid. It's not The Housemaid, which I didn't love either, but I read that a couple years ago. So The Maid I listened to as an audiobook, and there's a couple reasons why I didn't enjoy this book. It's about a girl who is a maid in like this bougie New York City hotel, and there's a murder that happens and she gets kind of framed for it. She's also kind of like alone, like a lonely person. I also think she has some sort of like autism spectrum disorder. Like she seems like she's on the spectrum just based on her social interactions, which is a part that kind of made me feel a little bit weird because I Googled it to find out if maybe the author is also on the spectrum, because I always like, I don't know, you guys can let me know your opinion, but I don't know how I feel about authors who don't have like lived experiences with certain things to be writing about those things unless they've done like a lot of research and field work on it. There was no diagnosis, it wasn't said or anything, but like I worked with a lot of kids with autism. I'm a genetic counselor. We do genetic testing for a lot of kids with autism and adults with autism, and like it just didn't sit right with me. So anyways, that was part of it, and the other part was the story was kind of boring. There's that. So it's a series as well, so there are other books, and if I'm bored I might listen to the audiobooks, but it's not something that I'm like really looking forward to, or not something that I would suggest. Then I read The Only One Left, which is another thriller book. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's about this girl who gets hired to be like a caretaker for someone who has like severe disabilities, and she has to like live in their house, and there's a lot of weird stuff going on in this house. And also the person who she's taking care of is known in the community to have been the one who killed her family. So it's like a lot of like different layers going on. It was interesting. Now I'm thinking about it, I don't know why I rated it so low. I think it was boring. Like a lot of it was boring. There was one big twist at the end, and it was just twist after twist after twist, but all at the end. And to the point where like it was too much. Like it was just like too neatly wrapped up, and like it didn't need to go the way that it went. So I didn't enjoy it. Like it would have been a really good story. Like it did keep me on the edge of my seat. Like I didn't read it all in one sitting or anything like that, but like the story could have been good, but the end just completely ruined it for me. I listened to this one as an audiobook, and it is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren, and I love other Christina Lauren books, so I was offended by this one. It's a holiday book. Obviously, I just listened to it in December, and there's a couple things I didn't love about this. It is a romance, like most of Christina Lauren's books are. It's about this girl who basically gets stuck in a time loop. She's reliving the same few days again and again, and it's around the Christmas time. She has like this like unrequited love, and she ends up telling, like in one of the versions of the time loop, she ends up like telling the guy her feelings, and then kind of what happens after that. And the reason I didn't love this book, like it was fine, the story was fine, the characters were fine. The reason I didn't love it is because of the time loop. It did not make any sense. Like there was a couple of times in the first rotation of the loop where she got sent back to the first day, and then like every time she had like a head injury, she would get back to the first day, and then it happened 2 or 3 times. But then the last time when she entered the loop and it continued till the end, they just didn't talk about the loop at all. Like it just like was only there for like the first like couple of chapters, and then it was never talked about again. The story just progressed as if it was just a normal love story, which made no sense to me. Like if you're going to add in the time loop aspect, you should be continuing that for the rest of the story. So I didn't love that. Kind of like made me get weird vibes from it. There are other Christina Lauren books which are so good, which you will hear about in the second part of this video. The next bad book that I read in 2025 was Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This is a TikTok book, and I am not on TikTok, but everything that's on TikTok ends up making it to Instagram. I don't know how I ended up picking it up, but I read it and I gave it 3 stars. I did not like this book at all. It was giving like Gossip Girl, which I loved. Like I loved watching Gossip Girl. I think they're in high school, and they're really like posh, rich, spoiled children in high school, and they're like traveling like all around Europe. It's based in the UK. They're traveling all around Europe, and obviously there's like a bunch of romantic interests in there. There's like drama that's going on between the girls and the guys, and it was just like brain numbing to me. I did not find it entertaining whatsoever. It was annoying to read about these kids' problems. I don't have anything against rich people reading books about them, but it just wasn't interesting for me. The next book is one that I listened to as an audiobook. It's The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I gave it 3 stars. This is another romance. It's an enemies to lovers, like the most enemy of enemies. Like it was just so annoying. It's these 2 people that work in the same company, and they're both gunning for the same promotion. And obviously they're obsessed with each other because they hate each other so much. The main reason why I didn't like this book was because the protagonist, like the woman, the female character, was so annoying. I couldn't stand her, and it could just be, again, because I listened to the audiobook. The voice actor for the female character, it just pissed me off. It took me a very long time to finish it, and when I did, I was like, okay. And then we have, I feel sad saying this, but this is another popular book. I think it's popular on TikTok as well. It's called Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I give it 3 stars. Have listened to, like, on audiobook, Ali Hazelwood books, and this one also I listened to as an audiobook. It's a romance, and she does a lot of like women in STEM books, which I'm a woman in STEM, so like I should like them. But this one, it had a bit of a twist to it. It was also about BDSM in this romantic relationship, and I think that part just was too much for me. Like, there was too much graphic information about the sexual nature of their relationship, and obviously they end up falling in love and they actually end up together, which was all fine, but I just didn't think it was as heavy on the love part as I would have liked it. It was too much on the spice and BDSM, which, I mean, to each person their own. Like, I'm sure there are a lot of people that really like this book, but for me, it was just a no compared to some of her other books that I've listened to that I find are better. Now we're getting to the last two, the 2 worst books that I've read in 2025. And it's funny because these 2 books are book club books. So my friend and I started a book club. We do monthly books, and these were actually 2 of the books that we read this year. So the second worst book that I read in 2025, I gave it 3 stars, is All Roads Lead Here. And this is another romance. I sound like a romance hater, but I promise you I'm not. This book was about this woman who ends up coming to this small town because her mom and her lived there at some point many years ago, and her mom has passed away. So she's like kind of like chasing some of her memories, and she ends up renting a house from this dude who lives in the small town, and he's all like, you know, like big and strong and masculine, and she's like a little tiny girl, and she's like living in his garage, essentially, like she's renting his garage. They obviously fall in love. It's another like enemies to friends situation, but I also found this woman so annoying. Like, that's why I hated the book. Like, I thought the man was fine. He could have been hot even, okay? Like, sure, I can imagine him to be an attractive guy. The part that bothered me about her was she just kept going on and on about how she's a good person and how she likes to make right decisions, and she's like a really high moral ground and all of this other stuff. And I was just like, shut up. Like, you're so annoying. Do you have any personality other than being a small, tiny, frail woman? And that just bothers me. I think that's what it is. I don't like it when the women seem like helpless, tiny, frail, and they have like this like perfect personality, and then the guy is like this strong, brooding, masculine guy who like comes to save her, because there have been a couple of instances in this book where he actually physically has to save her. I was so mad at it because I owned it that I had to like go to a library like on the street, and I exchanged it because I didn't want to own it anymore. And then the worst book that I read this year, another romance, another very popular, highly rated book. I have no words for how much I despised this book, and it is Binding 13. And this is a series. I will not be reading any of the other books in this series, based on these 2 people that are in high school. And the guy is like, I think 1 or 2 years older than the girl. Again, girl, very small, frail, no personality, needs saving. The guy is strong. I think he's on the rugby team, like the captain of the rugby team. Again, in and of itself, not a big deal, but like she literally needs saving, and he's the one to save her. And it's also based in Ireland, which I don't have a problem with books based in Ireland. It was interesting to actually read about all of their slang and the way they pronounce their names. There was a glossary in the beginning of the book, which I found very interesting. But the entire time they just kept talking about the fact that he was 17 and she was 15. Like, it was like that kind of difference. And he was like, oh, I can't date her. She's a minor, blah, blah, blah. That was such a huge point in the book, and like the reason why he was not like talking to her and like trying to stay away from her and like all that. It was just terrible. And the book was so long because it was a book club book. I remember dissecting the fact the book was like 600 pages long. Like, I did not need to read that for 600 pages, and it didn't go anywhere. I would not suggest it. If you're interested in reading it, please let me know what your opinion is. So those are all of the terrible books that I read in 2025. Again, if you have a differing opinion, please let me know. I don't mean to offend. These are just my opinions. I'm an oversharer at heart. art, and I've gotten really into reading in the last few years, so I love to share the books that I've been reading. I did do a similar video last year for the best and worst books that I read in 2024. If you have any suggestions for me, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know in the comments below, and make sure you stay tuned for the second part of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.